Okay, shalom, shalom. Just gonna continue this lesson where I left off in Genesis 2 and verse 20. And Adam gave names to all cattle and to the fowl of the air and to every beast of the field. But for Adam there was not found an helpmeet for him. Alright, so this is what happened with Adam. This is what happened with Adam, and basically with what he had and from him falling away. This is here. But just as Adam the serpent wanted to rule on his own terms, the other nations followed his lead, and for Adam listening to those philosophies, the deception, he was exiled from his paradise. That's the Garden of Eden. That's what we used to have. That's what he used to have. Okay, now we have this defiled, polluted place we have right now. And that shit ain't my fault, bro. That shit is Esau's fault. That ain't your fault. That's Esau's fault. That's why Esau has to pay for his crimes. We still have to pay for our crimes. But ultimately, man, it's all Esau's fault. This is Genesis chapter 3 and verse 3. I'll start at verse 1. Going into this devil Esau, basically. Now, we do pay for our crimes, but Esau has to pay for his, man. Genesis 3 and verse 1. Now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field which the Lord yet the power had made, and he said unto the woman, Yea, you have the power. Yahweh Shemashah said, Ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden. 2. And the woman said unto the serpent, We may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, the power hath said, Ye shall not eat of it, neither shall ye touch it, lest ye die. And the serpent said unto the woman, Ye shall not surely die. 5. For God doth know that in the day that ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be opened, and ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. God. So that's what the serpent said. That's what he did. This is a precept to that. Ezekiel 31 and 6. All the birds of the air nested in its branches. The birds here is a metaphor for the nations. For the other nations, yeah. Nested in its branches. The branches was Israel through Adam. And the beasts of the field gave birth beneath its boughs. All the great nations lived in its shade. Verse 7. It was beautiful in its greatness, in the length of its limbs, for its roots extended to abundant waters. It's the cedars in the garden of Yahweh Shemashah could not rival it. Let's talk about Adam. The cypress Essa could not compare with its branches, nor the plain Tresib match its boughs. No tree in the garden of the power could compare with its beauty. Verse 9. I made it beautiful with its many branches, the envy of all the trees of Eden, which were in the garden of the power. Jumping down to verse 12. Foreigners, the most ruthless of the nations, cut it down and left it. Its branches have fallen on the mountains in every valley. Its boughs lay broken in all the earth's ravines. And all the peoples of the earth left its shade and abandoned it. 13. All the birds of the air nested on its fallen trunk, and all the beasts of the field lived among its boughs. 14. This happened so that no other trees by the waters would become great in heights and set their tops among the clouds, and no other well-watered trees would reach them in height. For they have all been co-signed to death, to the depths of the earth, among the mortals who descend to the pit. Now that's good. Ultimately, now verse 14 there. This happened so that no other trees by the waters would become great in heights. Now this was once again, all those verses before this one, all going into Adam, ultimately. When you go to verse 12, foreigners, that's these other nations, the most ruthless of the nations, cut it down. What did they cut down? They cut down the trees of Eden, which were in the garden of God. Verse 9, I made it beautiful with its many branches. It's talking about the Israelites. The envy of all the trees of Eden. The envy of all the trees of Eden. It's ultimately going into Yahushua, though. Ultimately, but Yahushua is going to come back to restore his people. Yahushua is going to come back to restore his people. So anyway, that's what's going to happen. That's why when you read verse 12, foreigners, the most ruthless of the nations, cut it down and left it. Its branches have fallen on the mountains and in every valley. Its boss lay broken in all the earth's rabbins, and all the peoples of the earth left its shade and abandoned it. 13. All the birds of the air nested on its fallen trunk, and all the beasts of the field lived among its boughs. 14. This happened so that no other trees by the waters would become great in heights. This happens so that no other trees, that's talking about you other nations, you other heathens, by the waters would become great in heights, and set their tops among the clouds. And it's ultimately going into the kingdom when you other nations ain't gonna be able to get up on high. Y'all are gonna live and die and come back and live and die and come back like some peasants. But the nation of Israel is gonna come back alive in their right minds, of course. 'Cause some of our people are faggots and niggas, but I ain't no faggot and nigga. And basically, man, we're already on our right minds, man. The elect is. We already know we're of the elect, man. We already have faith in that. But you other nations, or you other heathens, you 2/3, you're gonna, especially who are faggots and niggas, you're gonna die and come back in your right mind, man. Because you're out of your fucking mind. If you're a fucking faggot. I don't like faggots, man. If you're a faggot, bro, get the fuck away from me. I'll slap you in your fucking face, man. Kick your fucking jaws out, and kick your fucking ribs, man. 13. All the birds of the air nested on its fallen trunk, and all the beasts of the field lived among its boughs. 14. This happened so that all the birds of the air there is going into the other nations, nested on its fallen trunk. The fallen trunk is us right now. Us. Ultimately going into Adam fallen, because through Adam we all had to fall. So by default, it's going into all Israelites, man, that have been fallen. All right, you got that. So anyway, it says here, and all the beasts of the field lived among its boughs. Yeah, the boughs are the broken trunks. 14. This happened so that no other trees by the waters would become great in height, and set their tops among the clouds, and no other well-watered trees would reach them in height. Yeah, that's going into the kingdom. How they're not going to be as great as us. Because technically speaking, the heathens, they still need us. They still need us. And it's going into them not being able to destroy us because they still need us. Okay, that's why Esau hasn't completely destroyed us yet, as a whole, as a nation, as a whole. Okay, you got that. So it says in 14. This happened so that no other trees by the waters would become great in height and set their tops among the clouds, and no other well-watered trees would reach them in height. For they have all been consigned to death, to the depths of the earth. That's what they're gonna be. Yeah, do I gotta read that again? I'll read it again here. And no other well-watered trees would reach them in height. Yeah, they're not gonna reach our heights in the kingdom. This is going into, this is metaphor. It's saying going into actual trees, by the way. So get that out of your mind. For they have all been consigned to death. Consigned to death. We ain't gonna be consigned to death as the nation of Israel. When we're in the perfect bodies. For they have all been consigned to death. That's going into the other heathens, the Edomites, the Hamites, the Hagarenes. To the depths of the earth. Among the mortals who descend to the pit. Yeah, the mortals. We know we're already gonna be immortal in the time to come, Lord is willing. If we're of the elect. Right now we're in the lowest state because we're paying for our sins, which we don't know if we're of the elect. But we have faith in that. But you gotta have faith in that. No matter what these people try to do to say you're not of the elect or make you do, or no matter what they catch you on camera doing to say you're not of the elect, you gotta believe you're of the elect and say fuck them. Even if they catch you, even if they catch you in your room with, or in the brother's room, in the brother's room with your dick out, because they got the TV on and we know they spy on you through the screen of your TV. And that's why I try to unplug it. But you gotta believe you're of the elect, man. Anyway, it says, yeah, man. You might see faggots and shit, some fag shit, man. You ain't even trying to click on, but then it pops up on you. You still gotta believe you're of the elect, bro. So leads me to this precept in particular here. This is this is why I'm gonna get Jeremiah here too in verse 21. Listen to this one here. Check this out. It says Jeremiah 2:21. Yeah, I have planted thee a whole noble vine, wholly a right seed. How then art thou turned into a degenerate plant of a strange vine unto me? God. And this is Isaiah 47:6. So that's what we are, a degenerate plant right now. Even if you have the truth. Get that out of your mind. You're still a degenerate plant. You're still low. You're still base. You're still filthy rags. By the way, okay? So keep that in mind. Meditate on that. This is Isaiah 47:6. I was wroth with my people. I have polluted mine inheritance. This is what the Lord has done. All right, the curses. And given them into thine hand, and didst show them no mercy. Thou didst show them no more mercy. Who has showed us any mercy? Starting with Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, who is the devil. The Bible speaks about. Okay, because he's not white, he's red. White is a name, identity he gave himself, and black and Mexican is identity he chose to label us, to keep us from knowing our true identity. And Jake has Stockholm syndrome, so, and he's been just beaten down so badly that he just chooses to, he has the give up mindset on his shoulders, and that's how they choose to walk around. So they have the mindset of, if we can't beat them, we might as well join them. That's the mindset. the loser mindset our people have. It's just how they is. Thou didst show them no mercy. Upon the ancient has thou very heavily laid thy yoke. And the ancient is the prophets, the elect. So anyway, going back to this. Ezekiel 31 once again. On down to 14. This happens so that none of the other verse 13. I mean, all the birds of the air nested on its fallen trunk. That's going into them living off our riches and our labor, because Esau needed us so that he can promote his hardcore slavery, lashings on us, and all the beasts of the field. That's all the other nations, the Ishmaelites, lived among its boughs. 14. This happens so that no other trees of the waters would become great in height, and set their tops among the clouds. God. And that's going into us ultimately. The Lord ain't gonna the Lord's gonna make sure these nations ain't that powerful and wealthy on that level, controlling shit, so that they just get rid of us. Because ultimately the prophecy is that Esau is going to be destroyed, taken down, right when he's about to fill his belly. So right when he's close to that NWO he wants to bring, these wicked elites, the prophecy is that the Lord's going to come to return to destroy this bitch. So now we're in the kingdom that's going to be eternal. That's never going to be destroyed, as it says in Daniel. So then when that happens, the nations are going to be below once again. But the Lord is just giving this devil that amount of power right now so that he still needs us, so he doesn't fully get rid of us. But the moment he gets to that level, when he's going to get ready to destroy all Israel, because that's ultimately this devil's plan, Yahweh Shai is going to come back. So he just at the perfect time, in the niche clutch of that time, so Yahweh Shai can destroy this devil, basically take his ass down, and we're going to be greater. So a part of us being on the low bottom right now is necessary for us to become greater. That's why it says 14 again. I gotta read I'll read 13, matter of fact, but 14 is the point. All the birds of the air nested on its fallen trunk. You already know. I already explained that. All the beasts of the field lived among its boughs. 14. This happened so that none of the other trees by the waters would become great in heights. The immortal bodies, and set their tops among the clouds. The kingdom, the paradise, the riches, the wealth, and no other well-watered trees would reach them in heights. Yeah, the other nations are going to be under us, under our servitude, under tribute, and mortal bodies. Us immortal bodies, for they have all been consigned to death. There you go, they're going to die. Immortal bodies. Mortal bodies, immortal bodies, to the depths of the earth, among the mortals who ascend to the pit. And then I wrote this here. And just as Adam got exiled for following a false heathen doctrine, the Beta kingdom fell. Northern kingdom and southern kingdom was divided for seeking out the ways of death that got Adam expelled from Eden, the paradise, the freedom, the paradisio. That's Greek for saying garden. Paradiso, the paradise, freedom, as we are this day. That's when Yahushua comes in as the new Adam to bring back the original intention, or the order, the world, cosmos. That Greek word for world and John 3:16 is cosmos, meaning an order, a government. This is that order and government. For God so loved this his nation Israel. He's gonna set them up again. He sent his son to give us the grace. So don't feel like you're mad or wrong for going off. Hey, you got Yahweh shot, man. Yahweh shot has got you. He's got his hand lifted out for you. You're gonna see bad shit. You're gonna see even worse shit. And at times we're gonna come into, like the angel told Ezra, just have faith in Yahweh shot, man. As long as you ain't just being a fucking niggas, smoking weed and blunts all day and committing adultery, then you're good, man. Esau might try to trick you to commit adultery and smoke and shit, or do whatever other, eat pork or other abominations. Don't listen to that devil, man. He goes back to that wicked ass serpent. He still has to pay for his murder, this deception, lies, and robbery. But I'm gonna go back to Ezekiel once again, 31:6. All the birds of the air nested in its branches. The birds, once again, those birds are the other nations, the Edomites, and all the beasts of the field. Once again, those other nations as well. Gave birth beneath its boughs. All the great nations lived in its shade. Yeah, that's ultimately the nation of Israel. There is that shade right there, because Yahweh represents His people. Ultimately, Yahweh provides the shade and controls these nations and how long they can last and how far they can go. So, and us as the Israelites, we've always provided that shade for them each time they took us under captivity. We've always provided that shade for them by basically worshiping Yahweh by Shemashai. That's why in the Median Persian Empire they had to send us back, or the Lord was going to destroy that kingdom. The Greeks at the first they couldn't destroy us. Think of Alexander, he couldn't destroy us. So we were that shade. And then when the Romans came, they a lot of that money that they had. Give you an example of they were only able to build that Colosseum by all the gold and the treasury that was inside our temple. So that's us representing that shade. And ultimately, the Lord provides all the riches and resources, and has the key to the key of David. That's the anointing and all the blessings and power the Lord can provide, which right now we don't have. He's gonna give it to us when He decides. A nigga can't force the Lord when he gets those riches or not. That's what you 2/3 are doing. Speaking about these 2/3 niggas, that's what they're trying to do right now. No, the Lord tells us not to do that right now, bro. So anyway, I got verse 7 here. It was beautiful in its greatness. Start at 6 again. All the birds of the air nested in its branches, and all the beasts of the field gave birth beneath its boughs. All the great nations lived in its shade. 7. It was beautiful in its greatness. That was in its the first temple. The golden age of Israel, around the time of King David, the time of King Solomon. That was the golden age of Israel. It was beautiful in its greatness. That's what it's referring to there. And the length of its limbs, for its roots extended to abundant waters. Yeah. How Solomon was able to send ships all the way here to the Americas. At that time, it was called Arsharif, meaning a land unknown. And then making them bring back all the gold and peacocks, exotic animals, and other exotic fruits and vegetables and seeds and plants, animals back over here. Stones, metals, all the way over here, back over here. Because I personally don't believe that. I personally want to speculate that really some of the fruits that they say grow over there now, like bananas, for example, maybe even bananas, oranges, tamarinds, those Maybe even potatoes. They probably didn't originally grow over there in Israel, but then when Solomon went and sent those ships over there, they were able to grow them over there now. And now today, Esau ain't gonna tell you that in your secular history, your popular news channels and shit, because secular history, because he wants to make sure he hides that evidence there. Verse 8, the cedars in the garden of God could not rival it. That's those other nations. They couldn't rival us in our prime age. The cypress Issa could not compare with its branches, nor the plane trees match its boss. No tree in the garden of God could compare it with its beauty. Yeah, once again, the golden age of Israel, around the time of King David, King Solomon. That was really the last major time we actually had it that good. That's why it says in the book of Ezra, we've only possessed it, but oh no, I mean in Isaiah. That's in Isaiah. We've only possessed it but a little time. For the most part, all these other nations been having being ahead of us. They've been have gotten ahead of us with technology, with their military. When you notice in the history, the technology. We ruled some shit after King David. We ruled some shit. We ruled some shit after Israel got destroyed. We ruled some shit. We did. You have the medieval ages. That was all Jake. The Dark Ages. King James. King James had a kingdom. That's one of our kings right there. Translated the Bible. Without him, we wouldn't have the Bible today. So how about that? Okay, we have the King James Bible. Forks, spoons, alright, Jake's invented those. The inventions you have to the potato chip, Jake invented those. You have Israelites that weren't of the elect, but they were still Israelites. They made shit, invented shit. That's all our people, but for the most part, that wasn't as great. All those accomplishments though weren't as great as both wisdom and riches that like Solomon had, like King David had. All those military victories. The temple built in that temple. That temple was made all of gold. I don't think King James had the same amount of money Solomon had, even though that was a great accomplishment he did with translating the scriptures. He didn't have that much. He didn't have that much great of a reign that he had that much money to build a temple made of gold, paved with gold, like Solomon did, and all those other tons of gold. 600. It said 666 tons of gold each year. I speculate that was only on his 10th year of being in power. Once the temple was built, that would have been 30 years. One of those 30 years is getting 666 tons of gold delivered to him. Okay, and do the math on that. How much that would be worth? But that's the point there. No tree in the garden of God can compare with its beauty. I made it beautiful with its many branches, the envy of all the trees of Eden, which were in the garden of God. Yeah, they envied us. The nations envied us. That's why they destroyed us. 12 foreigners, the most ruthless of the nations, cut it down and left it there. That was going back to the Romans with 70 A.D. Once that happened, we fell away. The great falling away was gonna happen just shortly after that. Just shortly after that, that's what was gonna happen. The great falling away. And it did happen. So that did happen. That happened to us. Foreigners, the most ruthless of the nations, cut it down and left it. Its branches have fallen on the mountains and in every valley. Its boughs lay broken in all the earth's ravines, and all the peoples of the earth left its shade and abandoned it. Con. Yeah, even our own people, we left from it. We left from the laws, the statutes, commandments. Of course, the Heathens automatically left it because it wasn't theirs. Why would they care about something that's not theirs? So they left it too. Here's a precept: 1 Corinthians 15, verse 50 to 58. I'm gonna get this here. Going into the bodies. This is 1 Corinthians 15, verse 50. Down to 58. Going into the new bodies, since we mentioned it. This is going into the temple. Just history on the first temple, second temple, and the third temple. Just the history on it. Lord willing, it's edifying. This is 1 Corinthians 15, 50 to 58, and it reads, I declare to you, brothers and sisters, that flesh and blood cannot inherit the kingdom of God, nor does the perishable inherit the imperishable. Yeah, literally what we read in Ezekiel 32. Let me double check. 31, I mean. Especially verse 14, I think that is, yeah. How they shall descend to the depths of the earth. They shall be consigned to death. That's those other nations. Those mortal bodies. Nor does the perishable inherit the imperishable. The imperishable is what the Israelites are gonna have as their inheritance, inherited to them by the Lord Yahweh through His Son Yahweh Shai, who came to save, who came to redeem us. 51. Listen, I tell you a mystery. We will not all sleep, but we will all be changed in a flash and twinkling of an eye, and at the last trumpet. For the trumpet will sound, the dead will be raised imperishable, and we will be changed. 53. For the perishable must clothe itself with the imperishable, and the mortal with immortality. Yeah, right now we're perishable, we're mortal. 54. When the perishable has been clothed with the imperishable, and the mortal with immortality, then the saying that is written will come true: death has been swallowed up in victory. 55. But where, O death, is your victory? Where, O death, is your sting? 56. The sting of death is sin, and the power of sin is the law. But thanks be to God, He gives us the victory through our Lord Yahweh Shai Mashiach. 58. Therefore, my dear brothers and sisters, stand firm, let nothing move you. Always give yourselves fully to the work of the Lord, because you know that your labor in the Lord is not in vain. Con. And here's another precept, Hosea 13, 9 to 10. This is a scripture going into, once again, we read 1 Corinthians 15, 50 to 58. They're going into how death is sin. The sting of death is sin, and the power of sin is the law. So sin is death. Hosea 13, verse 9 to 14, going into how Israel is cursed because we've sinned, and sin is death. It's Hosea 13, verse 9. You are destroyed, O Israel, because you are against me, against your helper. 10. Where is your king now, to save you in all your cities? And the rulers to whom you said, give me a king and princes. 11. So in my anger I gave you a king, and in my wrath I took him away. 12. The iniquity of Ephraim is bound up, his sin is stored up. Yeah, that's the Puerto Ricans, so-called Puerto Ricans, the Ephraimites. Their sin is bound up, their iniquity. The wicked, detestable things Puerto Ricans do. Young Puerto Rican dudes do. On camera, off camera, the young Puerto Rican woman, wicked shit, detestable, abominable, debauchery shit they do. On camera, off camera. Fag shit, lesbo shit. Whatever types of other iniquities, abominations these 2/3 be on. Talking about the 2/3 there. 12. For the iniquity of Ephraim is bound up, his sin is stored up. Labor pains come upon him, but he is an unwise son. Yeah, that's why they're going through the curses, and it's gonna get worse. They don't even know it's coming. When the time arrives, he fails to present himself at the opening of the womb. Yeah, meaning they're not gonna be lifted up. 2/3 of our people are gonna be destroyed. That's what it means when it says, at the time of the opening of the, he fails to present himself at the opening of the womb, meaning he fails to come out. He's not going to be birthed, which the birth represents the kingdom, the New Jerusalem, basically. So you can get an idea. And this is First Timothy 2, verse 14. And Adam was not the one deceived, it was the woman who was deceived and became a sinner. God.